Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
Welcome to my office.
I'm Jaimie.
Hi, Jaimie. Jesse. We're super excited to meet with you today. Obviously, they've already done quite a bit of work on this, and they just bring in the top dogs for the last stuff. Is that how that works?
Yeah,
Great.
I hope it's okay. I have a few notes just what the negotiations have been so far. Make sure that we're on the same page.
Okay, sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's great. That's great, Jaimie.
So just so I can get to know this a little bit better, can you tell me a little bit more about like what your position is with the company, or what it is that, how it is, what you're thinking about the negotiations so far?
Okay, great. So yeah, like I said, when you came in, they kind of call me in to sort of wrap up the loose ends. They always save the best for last. So that's normally what I do. I've been with the company for probably about 20 years. We've opened up a lot of different locations. Sorry, what was the second part of that?
And just how it is that you feel about the negotiation and how it's going so far with the what it is that we've already decided on. So.
Everything that's been decided on is great for me. I have no problems with that, and I think obviously we've opened up in a lot of stores in the past. This is not our first time to tango with this kind of stuff. So basically, I understand that you guys had some issues with some of the clauses that we normally use with other stores, and so that's why they're calling in. As far as the other parts go, we're pretty much okay with everything. I will mention that they had us down for a 25-year, and I would honestly like to change that to probably more of like a 5-year lease contract. 25 years is just, I mean, you know how it is these days.
Definitely.
I mean, we live in kind of a time when marriages often don't even last more than 5 years. So just to go for a 25-year commitment, I think that just might be a little bit too much for me.
Okay. Yeah, the 25-year commitment is definitely something that we're gonna need. We're gonna need a long-term commitment, but we can talk about that in a little bit. So with the negotiations, I'm so excited to meet with you guys. Like, I really love us getting together with discounts. This really, as you've seen, is a really nice location. We're right outside of Boston. We're in a place where the economy is doing well right now. Though we know that you guys have 200 stores and that you're everywhere, we know that you're not quite here in Boston yet. And so we know that this is a good location for you guys to be in, and that it's going to be very good for your company for the long run. We've been working in this area and we know it, and we feel like we can really help each other in this way because, yes, we're a smaller company. We've only been around for about 20 years, and we've done smaller stuff before this, but we know that this is a good location and that it's really going to do well. And so we're excited to kind of partner with you on this. So to go with the negotiations, yeah, from what I heard, we've negotiated a really good rent for you all, and the 25 years. I know that for the rest of our smaller tenants, they're going to be we're going to have them for about 3 to 10 years is what their lease will be, and so it will probably be a little hard if we're having them for 10 years and you're only for 5 years when you're our anchor store, when you're why they're going to be coming to be in our stores. Does that make sense?
Right.
So it's hard to be like, well, you guys should come and you should come for 10 years, but they're only staying for 5, and so we want to make it so maybe there's a way that we can figure out what is making you uncomfortable with staying for so long, or is there something that makes you uncomfortable, or why it is that your clause, your number 22, it's a little concerning for us, and we know that you have it in every store. But when it says the premises hereby demised may be used for any lawful purpose, that kind of worries us because like you could have a circus, you could have the Halloween store, you could have a dump in there for all we know, because that's not against the law. Like, is there a reason why you guys need to have this certain clause, or is there like
Right. And oh, absolutely, Jaimie. I understand. I mean, if I were in your shoes, I'd probably feel the same way. Obviously, you guys are newer to this. Like you mentioned, this is your first development. We've been doing this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, I wouldn't let a perceived problem stand in the way of past history that we have. As far as I would say, we're definitely not going to be bringing you a circus. You don't have to worry about that.
Definitely.
But what I will mention is that we really haven't had a lot of issues in the past with other of the subtenants, and we're not looking for a super long-term commitment right now, because we know that a 5-year is going to be just as beneficial for us. And then after that time, obviously, like you mentioned, we aren't in the Boston area yet. We don't know how the economy here is going to face this retail store. Obviously, retail is super up and down, so we don't know where it could go today or tomorrow. So we need to have that stability of saying we're only here for a short amount of time. If things go well, we want to be here for longer. But if not, we don't want to be tied down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I think that's part of what the rest of this says is like you may assign this lease or sublet the whole or any part of the demanded demise premises, but if it does so, it shall remain liable and responsible under this lease. So so that's with you having a 25-year lease that you're hoping to be able to sublet or assign the lease to somebody else. We're willing to work with you on that, being able to do that, but it needs to be it being a 25-year lease. It needs to be it being a long-term lease, because we can't just say, okay, you can have it for 5 years, and once you decide in 6 months that you don't want to be here, which we don't understand because it actually is a very good economy and location. We believe that you're going to like it and be here. But we're willing to work with you on being able to lease or sublet, but it needs to be a longer lease.
Okay, so just so we're on the same page here, Jaimie, I'm hearing from you that you're okay with us having full reign of subletting, assigning, and the use of the property as long as we go with a 25-year contract?
We're not okay with you having full reign of it, but we're willing to work with you, and that's kind of why I'm here, that like we can work out how it could work out. We don't want you to be able to sublet 100% of your area. We don't want you to be able to just lease the moment that you want to. We would like to maybe figure out ways that we can have qualifications, because we can't just have any company coming in, and I know that you said that you wouldn't do that, but when push comes to shove, sometimes it's just easier to take who will take. So if we could figure out qualifications, if we could figure out like a percentage of the property that you'd be able to sublet, that's something that we could work on. But with it being a 5-year, that's not something we can work with. There's definitely other companies that we could go with that are willing to do 25, that have worked in this area before, so they're not as scared to do it, like, because we know that this is a good location. We know that anybody should want to be here, and that we're going to have really good stores that people are going to visit, and then they're going to want to come visit yours. So we know this is a good location, so we definitely cannot do 5 years.
Great. Jaimie, I think that's awesome. If you guys have other opportunities to go with other retail companies, I think that you should totally jump on that. Like I mentioned, it's just not possible for us to do a 25-year lease, and so that would be fantastic. I know there's other developers in the area too that some of our leasing guys have looked into, so definitely if that's an option for you, I would say absolutely go for it.
Okay. Yeah, if you can't go more than 5 years, then I'll probably have to go with somebody who can go more than 5 years.
Okay. Jaimie, obviously we want obviously a lot of work has already been done, so we'd love for there to be a conclusion. I think probably the maximum I could go is 7 years though. Just, I mean, as you can imagine, me going back to the top dogs and saying, hey, we're going to be here and we're going to be stuck for 25 years. That's the best they could do. I think if I were able to do something more like 7 years, they would be a little bit more comfortable with where that's at. But obviously, I just think that at 25, the hands are just really tied.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that the solution is only a 7-year lease. I think the solution is having in there that maybe after 7 years you're able to sign off the lease to somebody else, like that we're able to figure out somebody else that has the same kind of business line that you do, that you'd be able to change hands of who the lease belongs to. But that's part of your standard lease that you had in that 22, was that you'd be able to lease any part of the demise premises. Yeah, because we had already decided on the 25-year lease, but like we're willing to negotiate when you'd be able to assign it to somebody else.
Okay. So just so that we were on the same page with everything, you're saying that we could potentially do a 7-year, and then at the end of that 7-year lease, sort of renegotiate certain terms. What I'm just saying is, obviously, Jaimie, we want to be here for the long run. If we put our feet in, we're not the kind of people who are going to show up today and turn off the lights tomorrow. It wouldn't make sense for us.
Yeah.
So we're going to do whatever it takes to be able to maintain our position here in the strip mall, be a great place for foot traffic. We realize that it's a good location, so part of that location will also bring the foot traffic. We're benefiting you guys with that foot traffic. So what we like is just the fact that if things aren't going well, we can say, let's find you somebody else who's going to do a better job for you.
Yeah.
You know, versus being stuck in a very long negotiation or in a very long contract. And part of us being able to make sure that we're bringing in that foot traffic is the flexibility of doing the subletting and of having a little bit more flexibility with use. Obviously, as it is right now, we do sell some hard goods.
Yeah.
Just some of our appliances, smaller appliances, they are considered hard goods. So as is with how you guys had presented it, where you want complete soft goods, we wouldn't even be able to move in as it is right now. So obviously, we're kind of dealing with a couple of different issues here, which is subleasing or subletting, use, and then the assigning. So it's kind of 3 different beasts as far as that goes. But they're all sort of tied in together. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So so you're gonna feel comfortable if we go ahead with a 7-year, and then there is some amount of, if you're gonna feel more comfortable, we're willing to sign maybe a sub clause that would say that only, for instance, a sales organization or a call center is not going to move in, that it's going to be some sort of a retail, if it is, in fact, that we have to shut off our lights and move out.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I'd love for us to be able to figure out some qualifications of what it would be. We'd love to have it be something that was similar to what you guys are, because we know that is why the smaller companies are coming into the mall, is because they want to be near you, because they know that your store is what is going to bring people in. And we understand that everything you sell is not soft goods, but we understand that most of what you sell is soft goods. And we'd really like for it to stay that way, most of it. Like we could figure out a percentage of, once you get to a certain point, your whole business is going to be different if you change to 50% hard goods. And so we want to just make sure that you're not going to be completely changing overnight and kind of making it hard for the other people to have stores here. Okay, absolutely. We understand that. And honestly, Jaimie, if I were in your position, I would probably have the same concerns as well. But just let me reassure you, have you ever heard probably this adage that don't let the tail control the dog? In this, for instance, we definitely are the dog, and the other satellite companies that are going to be in here are definitely the tail. So we don't want them to have to control the dog. We're kind of going to, so if people are going to have a lot of issues as far as things go with the quantity of hard and soft goods, I think that you shouldn't have to worry too much about that, because honestly, we don't want to let the tail control the dog in this situation. Yeah, I definitely get that, but I can also see that we can't let the dog run wild either, and so we want to make sure that there's balance. So we don't want to have a place where nobody wants to come. So it won't be good for you either, if you're the only store here, because nobody else is going to be coming except for you, so you might as well just be somewhere where you're on your own. And that's kind of the beauty of this, is that there's all these smaller stores that are going to bring people that will then come to your store also. And so we want to make sure that it's a place where everybody's happy. We want you to be happy, and we need others to be happy too.
Okay, great. I mean, in our previous history, we honestly haven't had a lot of issues. People normally want to be next to us, so I don't really foresee a future where there aren't satellite people who are not wanting to be. We're the ones that are offering them the greater benefit, as in with this negotiation. Obviously, we could go elsewhere, but we feel that you guys are creating a good location here.
Yeah, we're trying to have a good environment where people are going to want to come shop and people are going to want to have their shops. But yeah, we're gonna. Is there any way, like, what are you thinking about subletting? Like, are you thinking about being able to sublet the whole place? Are you thinking of being able to, like, I know that you guys are always trying to change and become better. Are you planning on going really far into hard goods? It's just that it'd be really hard to finance if you guys are going to be changing too much. If you guys are going to be we want you for who you are, and you're an amazing company who you are, and we want you to become better. But it also worries us that if you completely change into a different company.
Awesome, fantastic.